You ever notice how a simple walk in the park can just completely change your day? We all kind of feel it, intuitively. But what's the real science behind that feeling? Well, today we're diving into the powerful and totally measurable connection between being outside and our mental health. Let's explore the science behind nature's prescription. So, to really get why this matters, let's start with a pretty staggering number. Research shows that the average person, that's you, me, pretty much everyone, now spends over 90% of their time indoors. I mean, think about that. That's like 22 hours a day surrounded by screens and artificial light, totally cut off from the environment we actually evolved to live in. And this reality, it really makes you wonder, right? Have we forgotten our own natural habitat? And this isn't just some philosophical question, it's a biological one. We're going to see how reconnecting with that habitat might just be one of the best things we can do for our own well-being. We all know that feeling, right? That little sigh of relief when you finally step outside. But for a long, long time, that's all it really was, just a feeling. But now, science is finally catching up to what our gut has been telling us all along. So that brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Is this whole healing power of nature thing just a nice idea, or is it a concrete, measurable, biological reality? Well, as you're about to see, the answer is a huge, resounding yes. All right, let's move away from just feelings and get into the hard data. In this section, we're going to look at the actual numbers that show just how profound and quantifiable nature's impact is on our minds. And look, the scientific community is taking this incredibly seriously. A major 2022 review basically confirmed what tons of studies are finding. Being in nature isn't just pleasant, it's actively good for our health in ways we can actually measure. Okay, let's break down a number like this. A huge meta-analysis found that being in nature reduces anxiety by what's called a standardized mean difference, or SMD, of negative 1.28. Now, don't worry about the term. Just think of SMD as a way to measure the strength of an effect. And an effect size of negative 1.28, that's considered large. This isn't some tiny, barely there change. It's a significant, very real drop in anxiety. And it's not just about anxiety. Research from the Urban Mind Project, a really cool study, found that people are 28% less likely to say they feel lonely when they're simply in an environment with trees and birds. How cool is that? The impact goes even deeper, to more chronic conditions. Multiple studies have shown that just living near green spaces can lower a person's risk of developing depression by about 20%. So this shows the long-term protective power our environment can have on us. And honestly, here's the best part. You do not need to go on some week-long trek into the wilderness to feel this. One study found a significant boost in mental health after just 10 minutes. 10 minutes of sitting or walking in a natural setting. That's it. Okay, so we've seen that it works. The data is clear. But now let's get into the fascinating part. How does it work? How does looking at a tree or hearing a river actually change the chemistry in our brains and our bodies? The easiest way to think about it is like this. Your nervous system has a gas pedal and a brake pedal. Modern life has our gas pedal, that's the fight or flight system, floored pretty much all the time. Well, nature acts like the brake. It kicks on our rest and digest system, which slows our heart rate, lowers stress hormones, and shifts our body into a state of calm and recovery. You know that feeling after a long day of work where your brain just feels fried? Well, attention restoration theory explains why a walk in the woods feels so good. See, a busy street demands our direct, hard focus, but nature captures our attention effortlessly. They call it soft fascination. And that allows the part of our brain responsible for focus to finally take a break and recharge. And this happens fast. I mean, really fast. Stress reduction theory shows that our bodies are basically hardwired to relax in natural settings. We're talking within minutes of being outside, those physiological stress markers like the hormone cortisol actually start to drop. It's an almost immediate effect. But what's really fascinating is that this isn't something we learn. It seems to be innate. The biophilia hypothesis basically suggests we have this deep evolutionary drive to connect with nature because for thousands and thousands of years, that's where we found everything we needed to survive and thrive. Our need for it is literally in our DNA. Okay, so the science is crystal clear. The next logical question is, how do we actually put this to work in our own lives? What does a personal nature prescription really look like? Let's get practical. Now, this chart might actually surprise you.
It shows anxiety relief based on how long people spent in nature. And look at that first bar on the left. That's for exposure of less than 30 minutes. It shows the biggest reduction in anxiety, way stronger than for longer periods. So what's the takeaway? Short, frequent doses of nature can be incredibly powerful. A quick daily walk in the park might actually be more effective than one long hike on the weekend.
And remember, nature doesn't have to mean some huge, remote national park. Research is showing amazing benefits from both green therapy, think forests and city parks, and blue therapy, which is all about the restorative effects of being near oceans, rivers, and lakes. Your local park, or even a canal, is a powerful therapeutic tool. But what if you really can't get outside? Well, you can still get a lot of the benefits. Seriously. Studies show that just adding some houseplants, listening to nature sounds like rain or birdsong, or even just looking at pictures of natural landscapes can lower your stress and improve your focus. You know, this all really points to reframing how we think about the natural world. It's not some destination we have to drive to. It's an environment that's all around us all the time, just waiting for us to notice it. And this, right here, might be the most important insight of all. It comes from Professor Andrea Michelli's work. Even tiny, incidental encounters, like seeing trees from your window or just hearing birdsong on your way to work, have measurable, positive effects on your well-being that can last for hours. I love this quote because it really captures this powerful two-way street. When we engage with nature, even in small ways like watering some plants or caring for a little backyard garden, we aren't just improving the environment. We are actively, directly improving our own health. It's a total win-win. So that brings us right to our final thought. The science is overwhelming, the benefits are clear, and getting access to it is way easier than we think. The only question left is the one on your screen. What small act of nature will you connect with today?